Right. Start the meeting at 7:18. Welcome to the Outreach Committee meeting for January. Let's do a roll call. I thought Sherry was supposed to be here. She may come late. Nevertheless, Terry Austin.
Here.
Julie Houlihan is excused. She is in Egypt. Lucky her. Sherry Kessel, not here yet. Brandon Marino is here. Karen Sorrow.
Here.
Okay.
Sarah.
We have 3 out of 5, so we do have a quorum. And when Sherry arrives, it'll be 4. Doug is no longer with the outreach committee. So instead of 6, we now have 5 officially for this committee. I did not have a chance to change that on the agenda before I posted it. I posted the agenda and then he told me he wasn't going to be a part of it. So Doug has tendered his resignation to the outreach committee. He just has so much on a plate right now. He just can't devote any time to it, which I understand. So we do have a quorum, 3 out of 5.
Mhm.
And we get that down. Agenda item 2, let me go to it right now. Approval of November 4th meeting minutes. I sent this out to you on Monday. The meeting minutes for November 4th. If nobody has objections to it, I will pass it without objection. Does anybody have objections to the November 4th meeting minutes? No? Okay, so it's passed. And now intro by me. Welcome to 2022, everybody. I want this to be, I wanted to get off the ground running and really hit the community hard as to promoting Studio City Neighborhood Council and everything we do and everything we're about. I have Facebook access now, hopefully soon Twitter access. Once everything's all cleared up on that, there's some things Randy has to do to make sure it's all secure, and hopefully Instagram, Studio City Council. And through those 3, not next door, thank you very much. No interest in that whatsoever, none. We could continuously be sending out information, neutral information, obviously, with no political slant, no opinions, just basically, here's the information, here's the meeting, this is what the meeting is going to talk about, please attend and voice your opinion. I'd love to do that right now, and just every day or every other day post something. I know Sherry can't find the Zoom link. Good Lord. Well, I'll send it to her in a moment. I know Sherman Oaks is very active with their social media, and
Sherman Oaks NC.
Yeah, there are very. Let me really quickly. I'm just hold on one second. So let me just send this to Sherry. I'm just basically, just for full disclosure, I'm sending one of our committee members, Sherry Kessel, the link to the Zoom meeting, so you know what I'm doing away from with the computer. Which is what we should be doing all the time. All emails and text we should say. But yeah, I really want to hit social media hard. We'll talk about the satellite postings in agenda item 7. But when we get to that, we get to that. But otherwise, I really want to every day do something new on social media and just propagate, just completely saturate social media with Studio City Neighborhood Council stuff and get the word out and have them share it and talk about it, and hopefully create some increased attendance to our both committee meetings and board meetings. I know there's going to be a town hall coming up. Randy talked about it with our new council person. That would be something we can really push. And that must be Sherry connecting to that phone right now.
Does Studio City have 2 council people now?
Yes, we do. There's a map on the website right now showing the split. And let me just double check. That might be her. Okay.
One
Yeah.
neighborhood council.
Yeah, basically what it is. Basically what it is the northeastern section of Studio City is CD2 and the rest is CD4. It's an interesting split. but we'll get to that another time. I have nothing more for me to say, so we'll get to agenda item 4. Any public comments on non-agenda items? I don't see any phones, so you all have internet access, computer access. Please let this be non-agenda items within the committee's jurisdiction. Please don't talk about little green men on Mars. That is not within our jurisdiction. Things that outreach can do at a future time. So let me look at, Peter was first. So I'll have Peter go first. Peter, you'll have a minute. Go right ahead.
Okay. Oh my God, now I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous.
This is about the email that I received from in the president's email about a one-item survey about since opening of the shops at Sportsman's Landing, have you experienced either item A, B, or C, more traffic, less traffic, no change? As a stakeholder who lives right behind the project, this is meaningless because I think you need to get more granular to actually get some information, because I would want to have a place where I can write a comment because I see a lot of things happening over there. So I was wondering, was this put out before the board? Did the board have say so on this question, or was this just throw it out there with little thought? Because I really think you owe the community, if you're going to ask these questions, to really get some granular input on it. Thanks.
Okay. The next hand up, I'm going by order of what Zoom is telling me, is Barry Johnson. Barry, go right ahead. You're unmuted, Barry. Go right ahead.
Okay, I was just going to add that from 2002 to 2012, we had 3 council members for Studio City. Then we had 1, now we have 2, but we still only have 1 Studio City neighborhood council, and that will always be the fact. So everybody remember that. We could have 15 council members or 1, but it doesn't make any difference. We're 1 neighborhood council. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Barry. And Kira Durbin, I will unmute you and lower your hand, and you'll have a minute. Go right ahead.
Hi, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New
Great
Year.
to see you
Happy
all.
New Year.
Just wanted to welcome you to Nithias District. I'm sure someone will be reaching out very soon. I did send Brandon, there's a link to the map so that everyone can see who their field deputy is. I still have absolutely no idea who the field deputy for Paul Krikorian is. I'm just not sure how they plan to arrange that. Anyway, I'll obviously totally want to support you guys in doing your social media. Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council also does a really excellent job if you want to take a look at that. And then I just want to throw out some names at you if you have a minute to go to Nithia's website. I always contact Jeremy for special events. And then Isabel is going to be your comms director. And then what I usually do is make sure to copy the field deputy too, so that everyone's in the loop on the same issues. And then you can also go to that website to see who the homeless deputies are. Obviously, you can always email me, but basically what I do is just pass it along anyway. So anyway, Happy New Year. Welcome, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments from anybody? Nobody? Okay, that will close item 4, public comments on non-agenda items. I don't see any public officials, so we'll skip that. We'll go straight to agenda item number 6. The January 4th Bureau of Neighborhood Council's meeting regarding code of conduct and digital communications policy. We discussed the mouth's a meal here, digital communications policy in November. Nothing's really changed. A lot of input, but nothing concrete, except they voted on perhaps having a resolution to the digital communications policy sometime in late March. Whether or not they achieve that, it's been going on since 2020, I believe, remains to be seen. But the reason I wanted to bring in the code of conduct is because Any violation of the digital communications policy will lead directly to the proposed code of conduct that will be neighborhood council specific. I sent you guys PDFs regarding it. The code of conduct, I think, is a little further behind the digital communications policy is, and it's a little more problematic. Leonard, I think his name is Leonard Schaefer, if I'm not mistaken, from, I believe, Encino Neighborhood Council. If you can go onto the Bureau of Neighborhood Councils, Bureau of Neighborhood Commissioners website, and if they have the meeting in audio form or Zoom form, I highly recommend listening to Leonard's ad hoc committee's findings on the code of conduct policy. It's eye-opening. And it doesn't look like that Raquel Beltran wanted anything to do with it. She was there and she put on a good face, but it didn't look like she was happy with it. Still, it's one of those things where I'm not against the digital communications policy. However, there's still a lot going on to it, and there's a lot of things that need to be changed and added. So what we're going to do here, let me see if I have it here. I will actually share my screen and show you it. Where is it? Here it is. If I can show it to you here, this is the 7/1/2021 is the latest version. It's been a while since they've updated it. And all the red lettering is brand new text. You have a lot of X'd out and lined out text and a lot of brand new text. Again, some of the stuff I like, but there's a lot to be added to it. They're missing a lot of stuff. And I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to create a concise blueprint on how to handle social media across all neighborhood councils. But at the same time, neighborhood council should be autonomous. You should be able to handle your social media the way you see fit, up to a point. So there's that. And the code of conduct policy, which they also discussed in the meeting, is well, let's just say it's a little bit of a hot mess. I will let me share this with you. These are the things that have been removed and added to the code of conduct. The one that really strikes me is right here. Let me go down to 2 here. Now, number 2, amended, the green section, says the neighborhood council shall have the responsibility for informing stakeholder and board committee members of their obligation to affirm and accept this policy as a condition of committee service. Maintaining a record of their completion shall be the responsibility of the neighborhood council. But then you go to 5, and 5 is if within 30 days of being suspended, the neighborhood council board members or committee members does not comply with the provisions of item 1 above, they shall be removed as a neighborhood council board member or committee member by the following procedures. Basically what this is saying is comply to the brand new code of conduct or you're gone. Board members already went through Cornerstone and completed the city code of conduct as well as ethics and funding. This will be separate and able. Then I have to send it out to the board members tomorrow to complete your able training before the board meeting. But basically what they're saying is follow our code of conduct or you're not going to be a board member anymore. And it's, it's a little heavy-handed, not necessarily a fan of it, but again, there's still a lot of wiggle room. And again, I believe the digital communications policy will be voted on before the code of conduct policy will be. They're a little further ahead on it. So that's all I have to say about that. So before we go to committee comments, anybody from the public would like to address first? Anybody? Public comments? Okay, Peter just went back on. Peter, do you have any public comment on agenda item 6 regarding the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners meeting? Anything? No? Okay, then we'll go to committee comments and we'll start with Terry.
Thanks. This may or may not be relevant, but when I read through this, it was all about committees' behavior and committees, what committee members do. In this meeting, was anything broached about any standard of conduct from the public? Because I think in a lot of committees, we've lost a lot of committee members because they've been harassed by the public. Was anything mentioned about that?
No, because the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment has no control over what the public says. They do have a First Amendment right to speak their mind. However, if you read the Brown Act does give you a provision to maintain a certain decorum, a certain discipline within your meeting. And if somebody does go out of line and just start throwing 4-letter words and calling everybody all sorts of names,
Mhm.
could point of order them. If they do it again, you'd usually want to point of order them twice to give them 2 opportunities to clear it up. But if they continue that path, you could remove them from comments. Most people don't.
It
Because
should.
well,
Yeah.
I would, but again, there's a path sometimes you don't want to go down, especially to some of the gadflies who really want you. They're begging for you to
Yeah.
cancel them out so they could file grievances left and right.
It'd be good to have a legal reasoning
There
for
is
us
the
to put
Brown Act.
limits on it,
The
though.
Brown Act does allow that. And one thing you can do that I think Luis did in his homelessness committee meeting is keep them on topic. If it's general comments, there's something you can do. But if it's like we're talking about the Bureau of Neighborhood Commissioners meeting and they start talking about whatever, you can point of order them and kindly say, stay on topic. We're talking about this. Please have your comments be specifically for the agenda item we're discussing. If they do it again, you can stop. You could say one more point of order. Again, please stay on topic. And if they don't stay on topic, you can mute them. That is allowed.
That's cool.
So as long as they are aware that they have to be talking about the agenda, they wish not to, you can mute them.
Because I think people who have attended neighborhood council committee meetings or board meetings have been pretty shocked sometimes at the harassment. And I don't know if I can ask Randy about this, if he could weigh in on it, but I mean, we do have one particular person, I'm not afraid to say, it's Goat Puppet, who has been just vile. And a recent meeting of the land use committee was breached and pornographic images were shown all through the meeting.
Whoa.
So, I mean, because I think it, like many things, it reaches a breaking point. And I know, yes, you can tell people get back on topic, but that hasn't worked very well. So I'm just wondering, Randy, have you heard anything new? Or, I mean, look, we lost public safety, our chair for public safety. She was literally harassed out of the
Rachel?
job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anything
Was that
different
this year?
happened? Well, yeah, last year, but like,
Yeah.
has anything different happened in the last 6 months? Are you getting any sort of support from the, from our
Two
legal
people.
counsel downtown, from
I don't know if Randy's
a
going
man who wants to run for mayor?
It's a sticky situation with the I hate calling it
Or
I'm calling
women.
it NCAD, but it's NCAD, the Neighborhood Council Advisory Division of the City Attorney's Office. It just sounds like they're building me a 3D model when I say NCAD. They're the ones usually go to regarding this, and they're kind of let it happen. But I know what you're saying. We're trying to gain more stakeholders to attend these committee meetings, and the first thing they hear is F this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
As long as I mean, it's something that I think we can address to the individual committee chairs to say, listen, warn people in advance that in public comment, there might be some unsavory language. If you're sensitive to it, have your finger on the mute button, on the silent button on your computer. But there's nothing we can do. So I think if you forewarn the public about something like that, that may or may not happen, then they understand that there's nothing you could do about it. They have their right to speak. And hopefully it kind of mitigates the situation slightly. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. A lot of people don't want to attend these meetings because they don't want to hear the garbage, especially like when last year when I think it was at Rio Honcho. Well, what's the name of that school? I forgot.
Oh, it was a school.
Yeah, they wanted
My kids
they
were-
wanted a neighborhood purpose grant, and there were a lot of kids probably listening in, and
It was a Rio.
It's Rio Vista.
Rio Vista, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So in certain situations, I think when there's some kids or teenagers listening in, I think we can be extra careful. But again, that's really up to the chairs. And again,
I think it's interesting that they can come up with like 14 pages of how we should behave and nothing for. Say.
If you tune into actual city council meetings, some of the same gadflies are there.
Yep.
And the language is just as colorful. And
Absolutely.
there's really nothing you can do other than, in fact, I don't even recommend interrupting them. Let them have their 1 minute and then they're done. But if you start with point of orders and all that, you wind up causing more trouble than it's worth.
yeah,
They can still use the language.
yeah. But again, you could point of order them if they're off topic. And I know when Luis did that to a goat puppet got really upset because I don't think he expected it. I don't think a lot of committee chairs do that.
Right.
But that's one tool you can use. But again, it's nobody's going to discipline them at all. So I mean, this guy, we're not going to go into detail, but he's done worse, and he doesn't intentionally. He just wants to push buttons, and
He wants to sue us, right? I mean, pretty much.
yeah, no. There's
Yeah.
other things going on, but let's not make this about goat puppets. I'm shocked he's not here actually.
Good.
Any other comments on agenda item? I have to keep looking back at this. Agenda item 6. Any questions? This is something I actually sent to Barry Johnson, who's with us tonight. He's the chair of the Government Affairs Committee. This is something I'd love to see Government Affairs take up, and eventually have the board weigh in on maybe not the digital communications policy, though it'd be great, but absolutely the code of conduct. I mean, my opinion on this, they call us volunteers because they don't know what to call us, because we are not designated within the city charter as elected officials. Therefore, board members of, and this comes directly from Raquel Beltran, we are designated as volunteers. Not a volunteer, I was elected by people to serve. And it's interesting how they're trying to kind of say, well, you're this. So if you're this, yeah, we can just go ahead and do this. I'm not a fan of the language they're using. And I would really love to see all neighborhood councils vote on the code of conduct and the digital communications policy. I'm not fond. I mean, for instance, training is one thing. ABLE training, code of conduct, ethics, funding, everybody has to take it. If you're a city official, you have to take it. I get that. Even if they made Robert's rules made simple, a required training, I'm okay with that because it'd make things better. But to have an NC specific code of conduct, which cannot supersede the city code of conduct. The city code of conduct comes first.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to work
How
that out.
weird.
And even Schaefer, when he was talking about his ad hoc findings, didn't understand how they were going to pull that off. So again, like I said, I think the code of conduct policy is a ways away. I think digital communication will be first, because that's not conflicting really with any other city regulations. So yeah, I'm going to stay on top of this, and it should be interesting next couple of months to see what happens. If there's no other comments on this, we'll move to our next agenda item, which will be 7 satellite postings. I sent the entire board of the satellite posting for this month. I put all meetings on one posting, and they all fit, believe it or not. And when I printed it out, I looked at it and I said, oh, it all fits. And from a distance, I can see it. So it looks good. I tried to get out there and put a few out there. I should have put more. But as it turns out, there was no homelessness meeting this month. And cultural affairs, there was a technical issue. And bylaws will be next month as well. So it's gonna be a full slate next month. What I want to do basically is the moment the board meeting is over, the 20th, the next day, I want to start hitting the community with these satellite postings, going to coffee shops, going to restaurants, going anywhere where people congregate. You know, even even a mall or just a shopping area that has a posting area. The public library will probably do it.
Universal.
Mary Mallory is on the Cultural Affairs Committee. She'll be more than happy to do it. She still works at the library, right?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So no
Well,
problem.
yeah,
She does.
I think
Um,
he's very associated with it.
yes,
for
yes.
sure.
So just getting out there and getting these things as many places as possible and having people scan the QR code. And once they find our website, hopefully they bookmark it and they keep coming back to it over and over again. And obviously we have the sidebar. I don't know when the new website will be in place. I don't think the $2,500 has been allocated yet for Web Corner. That's something I can ask him about, but she's just trying to get all the backlog stuff taken care of before any new stuff is taken care of. And she has to wait for the city to authorize any expenditures anyways. So I don't know when that's going to happen. But in the meantime, we can do satellite postings. And according to the Neighborhood Council Advisory Division of the City Attorney's Office, it's okay. According to our NEA, Gibson, it's okay. As long as this is not the official posting, and we have it at the very top. This is not the official posting. Go to studiocitymc.org for the official agendas. As long as it's clear, this is not an official posting. It's merely, it's in addition to the Brown Act official postings. And I actually do have that on studiocitync.org and the CBS Studio Radford and Colfax Gates. So it says where they are. So starting just after the board meeting, I'm going to create one of these. First, I'm going to hit all the committee chairs to see if they're actually going to have a meeting. I think they are. I know Jeff said he's probably going to have a bylaws meeting in February. I know Luis is going to have his meeting in February. And I haven't heard if Scott's here. I'm sure he'll have public affairs in February, and Karen will have her cultural affairs in February. So it's going to be a full slate. So this would be the time to get these satellite postings out there and get them into as many windows and cabinets as possible, obviously with businesses that we have not had business with in the past 3 months. Case in point, no postings at Sportsman's Lodge, because that's been a sticky subject. No postings at Weddington Golf Course, obviously. But businesses we have not had business with, some storefronts we have not had businesses with, which there might be an appearance of conflict of interest, where if they were in the, we were talking about them in a board meeting, like a brand new sushi restaurant who wanted land uses approval and board's approval to do this, and we post this in the window, that people are
Right.
going, wait a minute, that's not cool. What's going on here? So we have to be very careful about where we post it. Like I said, obviously nowhere in Sportsman's Lodge or Weddington Golf Course or Harvard Westlake for that matter. But everywhere else seems okay. But be cognizant. If you have any doubts, let me know. Email me and I'll get back. I check my emails maybe 4 or 5 times a day, Studio City Neighborhood Council emails. So yeah, we'll go to public comment now. Who's playing cool music?
Oh, it's my husband.
Is he playing guitar?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, you can hear it.
He plays a little
You
guitar.
can hear it. Yeah.
We'll go to public comments now. And I've got Barry. Barry, go right ahead.
I was just going to say, I thought the list of the meetings looked great on our website, and I think all the committee chairs should just get in the habit of letting you know, like the day after the board meeting, just let you know if they're not having a meeting. And the other thing is, I think when these are posted at various places, somewhere on the sheet, it does need to say, if you click on this QR code, the agenda will probably not be there until 72 hours prior to the meeting.
Does. Right at the bottom it says. It does say it. It says scan QR code or go to studiocitync.org, select calendar from the menu, then select meeting. The meeting information will contain both the Zoom login information and a PDF agenda no fewer than 72 hours prior to the meeting. So even if they do it,
wonderful.
Right there. Yeah. And
because I would hate for people to be disappointed if they did that and then nothing was there.
No,
So
what I
that's
can,
great.
what I can do is, in fact, I can add 72 hours notice on web page. So if you go to, say, Government Affairs Committee and someone clicks on it, actually, let's say Public Safety, because it's the following week. It'll say there, agenda will be posted no fewer than 72 hours before the meeting. I can stick that right there, that when I'm propagating the calendar, I can throw that little blurb in there. So if they do go to that page and there's no agenda, there will be something there saying, okay, no fewer than 72 hours before the meeting, the agenda will pop up. So yeah, that's a good point.
And one other thing quickly, I was just
Yeah.
going to say on the digital regulations that they're drawing up. I think even though it's regulations, I think it's because it's digital and what your committee deals with. I think you guys could chime in on that. It wouldn't have to be government affairs like the others.
Yeah, digital communications policy next month. Bureau of Neighborhood Commissioners might have 1 or 2 more meetings before. I know they do have 1 more meeting. They usually have 2 meetings a month, and they may have 1 meeting at the end of January. But generally they have 2 meetings a month. And I will definitely have a motion for the digital communications policy, because I'm not going to wait till March. I suspect that the digital media communications policy or digital communications policy is pretty much set right now with just a few tweaks here and there. But I think it's something we can absolutely vote on. And that will be a motion in February for the outreach. In terms of code of conduct, I think that's your ballpark right there, because that's not about media. That's not just code of conduct really will apply, and it states in there to everybody who participates in a neighborhood council affairs, not just board members, but stakeholders like Terry, like Kira. It'll affect them as well, because they're in it. They're in it. It's wide sweeping, and it just really seems like I mean, when did the neighborhood council system begin? 1999, 2000, something like that.
2002.
2002. It's been 20 years, and they're finally coming out with their own code of conduct, and they're finally coming out with their own digital communications policy. Because remember, only board members go on to Cornerstone and have to complete the code of conduct. I did, Karen did, Scott did, Randy did. But if you are a stakeholder and you are part of a committee, well, you're not beholden to it. So there could be some bad behavior within committees, and even the committee chair, like Luis, is not a board member. And Adele's not a board member for sustainability, so she didn't take the code of conduct, pass it and sign it, and have a certificate, a PDF certificate you can proudly display on your wall if you so choose. So they're not beholden to it. So I see why they won an NC specific code of conduct. It's just that they waited 20 years, and now they're trying to jam as much as they can into one document. And it does bother me that, again, I don't know the legality of this, so I'm speaking like a semi-noob here, that I'm an elected official. I was elected. I signed up. I did all the paperwork. I was approved. I was placed on a ballot, and on election day, people voted for me. I'm an elected city official. But from what I understand, only elected city officials can remove elected city officials, or the public can. The public has to have a say in it. From what I understand, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but say a board member does something egregious that clearly they were way out of bounds and they are suspended. You can suspend somebody. Mark Ridley Thomas currently is suspended from the city council. But to actually remove them from the board, if they do not finish the code of conduct training, they can be removed from the board. That rubs me the wrong way, because that's basically saying an appointed city official can remove an elected city official. I don't think that's possible. I don't even think that's legal. You could be suspended indefinitely. you could stay on the board forever until the next election. But removing an elected official without say so from the public or the board itself, I don't see how there can. I don't know if the current, because the current code of conduct is really for citywide employees. This one's going to be specific to us. So it just kind of seems like an overstretch of power. Again, I don't know the legalities of this. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a member. I'm not on the city attorney's staff, so I have no clue how they're looking at this. But so far, they've been seeing it, and they don't seem to have an issue with it. It's a little interesting. I'm curious to see how this is going to turn out. Does anybody else have any comments? Terry, go ahead. Oh, let me unmute you.
Mute myself. There I am.
Go ahead.
I really like the layout of this, and it's always really hard when you've got a limited space to get all the information you'd like to have. But I would think that I think it needs to invite people to come, like, your invited events for January, because it says Studio City Neighborhood Council to the left. It's got the logo.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people might think that this doesn't apply to them. And I think that we need to make people realize that you can come. And if it doesn't say you can come or
Yes.
invite them, that's my only comment. Otherwise, I really
I like
like
that.
all the
I
little,
like that.
the little boxes that draw your eye to the date and the time and then what it is. And I think it's really well laid out, and that's my only comment.
Thank you, Terry. I like that comment. I'm going to put that on the next one. I'm going to actually write that down right here so I don't forget. Okay. Does anybody else have any comments on agenda item 7, satellite postings? Nobody? Okay, we'll go to agenda item 8 then, social media posts. I mentioned earlier that I now have access to Facebook. Haven't really had a chance to post a lot of stuff. Obviously, the digital version of the satellite post, I put it on there. It got some play. I saw Karen shared it. Thank you very much. But I really want to hit that hard. I would love to connect it. If it can be connected to the Instagram account, that'd be fantastic. I'd make everything 10 by 10, make sure it fits, and make it so we can hit both platforms at the same time. As far as Twitter, I guess we have to be a little more careful, since there's a lot of individuals on Twitter. I think Lank Watch, I think, and a few others are just looking for an opportunity to baste us. So I think the Twitter account would be less involved than Facebook and Instagram, though we could post on Twitter from time to time. Again, it'd be purely informational, nothing political, no opinions, no nothing. It's like, here it is. This is what's going on. Join us. Or did you know about this part of history about Studio City? If, say, Cultural Affairs wants to get involved and get a few posts, like Fire Engine 78 being the first racially integrated fire station in the LAFD that happened in the 50s. A lot of things. There's a lot of things about Studio City people don't know about, and Cultural Affairs can get a lot of stuff together, work with Mary Mallory, and find some little tidbits that would be very interesting to put on social media. Public safety is another thing, with Scott's committee talking about, well, if you see, a sidewalk that has been raised by, say, a tree root, who do you call? Is it it's Streets LA? What do you do? Things like that. Little tidbits that people can look at and maybe screenshot it and have it, or share it, or favorite it, whatever they want to do, or just write it down. There's a lot of possibilities to engage stakeholders in every committee we have, every single committee we have. And it's about posting as much as you can, pure information. This is what's happening. This is what they're talking about. Join us. So that's something I really want to do starting as soon as possible. Obviously, like I said, I do have admin access to Facebook now, and I really want to start hitting that hard. And yeah, that's all I really had to say about that. And also, if you guys have suggestions, not necessarily tonight, but if over the course of the next few weeks you say, because I still have, you guys still have those samples that I put together. If you guys want to put together some ideas, like, well, we could talk about this, or we can talk about this, or we can talk about this. It doesn't necessarily have to be committee specific. Anything we're talking about, we can shoehorn into a committee. Anything, except space travel. I don't think we can do that, but maybe, I don't know, public safety is kind of a dangerous thing. So maybe Scott's gonna, but it would just, if you come up with a great idea, just email me and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? The more input I have on creating these posts, the better. And I don't even have to create all of them. We have some very talented people on board here. And if you guys want to read it, make sure it's square. I usually do 10 by 10 at 150 DPI, just to make sure it works on both platforms, and it scales nicely and it looks good. You want to get
What did you just say? 10 by 10?
I usually do. My Instagram posts are usually 10" by 10" at 150 DPI. I don't know why I do it like that. Like, well, I do know why I do it that way. I like it 10" by 10" at 150 DPI. Instagram will automatically scale it down, but there's more real estate to work with. And if you're already working with a small file, it's going to look a little jaggy. It's going to look a little fuzzy. I like a larger format and let Instagram scale it down for me. But that's what I use. So if you guys have any ideas, please let me know. Any public comments on this? This is basically a carryover from the last meeting we had. Public comments? Do we have any hands? Let me go right here. No hands. What, Kira? Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Kira. Go right ahead. Oh, hold on. Yeah, go right ahead.
I just didn't want you to think that no one cared about what you were doing. I think actually Barry said earlier what I was going to say. Whoever made the post on Facebook with the meeting listings, it looks really good. It's a really good graphic.
It's our satellite posting. I just cropped the bottom off it. You didn't need a QR code because you're already on the Facebook page.
Well, it looks good. That's what I wanted to say. So whoever made that.
I don't know why more neighborhood councils don't do something like this.
Well, honestly, because it changes. It's hard to make like a monthly list. And then if people cancel their meetings, like I think Barry said this as well, you don't want someone to put it in their calendar and then you disappoint them.
Yeah.
But I did want to say too, once you get Instagram and Twitter up and running, for sure, if there's something you want to share, go ahead and tag me. Go ahead, tag CD4 Los Angeles, or just, I love tagging. I think it helps spread information. And I also encourage as much hashtagging as possible because you never know who's going to come across your posts from whatever subject they're interested in.
Yeah.
So, it's weird. I have like friends on Instagram, like in Africa and stuff now, just from the homeless outreach that I do, because it's become like a supportive network. So great job, Brandon.
Thank you, Kara. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm going to have to look at other neighborhood councils, including Sherman Oaks, and see what kind of hashtags they use and see what kind of traffic they get to their posts, and just steal the hashtags. It's not theirs. They probably took it from someone else, so who cares? Any other comments on agenda item 8?
Is this public comments? Public?
You could, if you want to talk. Oh, I have Ira right here. Oh no, Ira's just clapping.
No,
this is public comment right now. So if you have okay, well, go ahead, Ira.
Sorry, that was I was wondering why my raised hand because it was just clapping. So my bad. That was the wrong icon. So piggybacking on something that Kira touched on, I think that if we're going to actually reach stakeholders who may or may not have heard of the council or I think we should really focus also on just hashtags. It doesn't have to be something major, but hashtag Studio City, hashtag Studio City Neighborhood Council, hashtag SCNC, something like that. At least hashtag Studio City, because I think it's really important for this outreach to actually reach the stakeholders. And I think the only way that stakeholders are going to see it are if they do hashtags. The second thing I'd like to suggest, things like Studio City, the neighborhood council, we can at least, if not directly influence something, we can help with something. For example, somebody reached out to us about graffiti on a building, and they had submitted something to the city, but the city was, they're busy. So I intervened, and now there's no more graffiti on that building, and it's right on Ventura Boulevard. It's that big green, used to be Kama Sutra. It was completely cluttered with graffiti, and a stakeholder was really upset about that. So within 2.5 weeks, it was gone. So things like that, people could write in, and we could at least connect them to the right city office, or we could advocate. Small things like that, I think, will bring a significant amount of awareness to what the Studio City Neighborhood Council can actually help with.
Yeah. A lot of people think we're a legislative arm. We're not. We're advisory. And I think that's a problem people have. They go, why can't you do that? Why can't you take that billboard down? It's like, that's not what we do. We could point you in the right direction. We can send correspondence to a particular department that might be able to assist you, but that's not what we do. So yeah, absolutely. We can just inform. Okay, absolutely. Any other public comments on agenda item 8? Oh, Kira, go ahead, Kira.
I just wanted to thank Ira for bringing that up. At some point in this committee, once you start getting your social media up and running, you might want to have like an agenda item to kind of decide as a committee what you do want to share, what you don't want to share. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Because like I tend to post whatever I want, like whatever I care about, and no one seems to have a problem with it, but I'm not always saying it has anything to do with neighborhood council. So I would just encourage you guys as a group to maybe decide what you want on your social media. And the graffiti people are usually a lot faster than that, so they must have been on vacation for Christmas or something. Because Mitz is always bothering them, and they usually come out like the next day or the day after. But
you know what it was? They couldn't get a hold of the owner.
Oh.
And so I have resources. So I found the owner, got in contact with the owner, and then put them in contact with the city official. And so that's how it was actually done.
Oh, so it was actually private property?
Yeah, it was private. It was commercial property, but the owner, I don't want to say much about the owner, but I was able to get in contact with. I found out who the owner was. It's the city had information that might have been outdated. So but just things like that, I'm sure we're all happy to be advocates if we can, within the boundaries of good taste and what we are actually able to do. Yeah, sorry, I'm droning on.
It's okay. It's all right. Barry, your hand is up. Go right ahead. Let me unmute you. There you go, Barry.
Hi. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think one of the most important things that we can do is teach people how to help themselves. Because if we get something from a complaint or something and take care of it for them, they've learned nothing. And we're really not there to have like one person continuously contact us to fix their problem, because then we can't help the first time people. So every first time contact we have, if we can point them in the direction that they can write to somebody and hopefully help themselves first, that's what we need to strive for. And then if they don't get any action, they'll let us know, and then we can take further action. But upon first contact, the first thing we've got to do is point them into the person they need to contact first, we just can't hold their hands all the way. They've got to learn to be their own best advocate. And that, I just think that's so important.
Good
Thanks.
point. Very good point. Any other public comments on agenda item 8? We'll go to committee comments. Terry?
Mute myself, there I am. I wondered what your thoughts were about the satellite postings are for specifically for meetings that are neighborhood council meetings. But with the social media posts, we have other organizations in Studio City that as an outreach committee, we might want to make people aware of. Like for instance, it's now been canceled, but the Studio City Residents Association was going to host Paul Krikorian, who still represents, as of January 1st, a small section of Studio City. It's been canceled because of Corona. But next month, they are hosting Nithya Raman, who's our new council person. And I think that's
March.
I'm sorry, was it March, Barry?
Yeah.
Excuse me, March. But the next meeting is Nithya. And I think that that would be of great interest to people in Studio City. So I was just wondering with our social media posts, and somebody else mentioned Mary Malloy, who's a local historian. And so I'm just wondering, are there other community events that we might want to let people be aware of through the social media posts? And I wonder what your thoughts were about that.
I would, before I answer, Barry, was your hand up really quick to respond to that? Or did you just accidentally hit the hand button? Okay. Barry?
Accidentally.
Okay. In terms of that, I don't know if the SCRA meetings are public affairs. I think they're only for members of the Studio City Residents Association. I know once in a while they do have, I guess this is one of the few public events. You do have public events that anybody can join.
Anyone is welcome to come to the every other month community meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But and just so everybody knows, Caro believes he has COVID. And I believe one of the reasons Paul canceled is he's around Caro, and it's only 5 days away, and he may get it. So I think it wasn't in the message from his office, but I've learned this during the course of the day. So just so nobody thinks he got scared off and didn't want to come to the meeting because of a lot of controversial redistricting stuff. I just wanted to say that for the record.
That's pretty funny. Okay. Anybody from the committee has any comments on agenda item 8, social media posts? Anybody?
I took a walk. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Karen.
I was just going to say, sorry. Also, Nithya Raman is said to have COVID right now. Just an FYI.
Well, they meet a lot of people, so
Yeah, but can we circle back to what Brandon, to what I said? Like, do you think that is something that we might social media posts or other events that are happening that might be of interest to the community?
Well, here's what I would do. I would probably refer this to Randall and Scott and see what they think. If say there's a let's say Hope of the Valley or something like that, they're doing something for homelessness and it's a good idea to post. Well, there are some organizations that are polarizing. Some people love them, some people hate them. I personally don't have a problem with Hope of the Valley, but some people do. So once in a while, we can probably post regarding events outside of the Studio City Neighborhood Council calendar. But I think we have to be cautious about who we do the posts for, who's involved in the post, because there could be some political backlash to some of the posts. But then
wouldn't we be making that decision as opposed to being unbiased and saying that, barring it's something that would reach a threshold like a KKK meeting, that if it's happening and it's labeled Studio City Daughters of Historian or Studio City, my interest in doing outreach was because I feel like not enough people know what's going on in our own community, and it's not all done by the neighborhood council.
Well,
so
here's what we can do. What we can probably do is going through the specific committees. Let's say if Luis Oliart with homelessness, he's gonna be talking about some event going on with some organization that is going to be represented at the committee meeting for homelessness, we can post, because it's
Yeah, I think
directly, it's
if it's
directly
relevant,
related
right?
to- yeah, directly related
Yeah,
to
the
something that's
government
be happening.
committee.
And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there's other like the biz dev, group, we can share something about them too, because they're painting the boxes,
Yeah,
It's like, it
as long
just
as
has to be relevant, like general and public, right?
yeah, well, no, what I'm saying is if it's connected directly to a committee meeting, that say if say you have I don't know, throw out a charity, I don't know, well, let's just say XYZ charity or XYZ group is going to be a part of a particular, let's say sustainability, Adele's committee. Let's say she's going to have some people representing themselves over there to talk about, I don't know, recycling or whatever. Then we can probably put a post up regarding XYZ group, because they are going to be part of the sustainability committee meeting that particular month. So it's connected to something we're already doing, as opposed to if we have no connection to this group and we say, oh, by the way, now in terms of say, let's say recycling, or let's say homelessness, let's say shelters. It's better to have a general post about several shelters in the area as opposed to just one. So you're not excluding anybody else. And that's the danger right there, where some people think, well, we're siding with one shelter and not the other, or we're siding with one group but not the other. So being as inclusive as possible, we can have a post where there's multiple slides that have like several different organizations represented. So we try to make sure everybody's represented, and we don't, and it does, the people, they don't feel like we're excluding anybody. And that's where I'm getting at. For instance, if a group is talking at a particular committee meeting, then it is in our best interest to talk about them, because they're going to be a part of one of our committee meetings. So that's something that I'd probably ask Randy and Scott about. Since Randy's the president, everything would have to probably go through him in terms of that, whether or not it's a good idea to talk about any specific organization or post something that's not directly related to any kind of event happening this month with the Studio City Neighborhood Council, like a committee meeting.
Well, I
So
would say that every committee meeting and board meeting for the neighborhood councils begin by asking if there's anybody from any government agency.
Yeah.
Kind of relevant for every meeting. But I wasn't suggesting it just because Nithya was coming. I was suggesting that every Studio City Resident Association meeting should be read, because it has to do with our community. And like I said, there's so many things that go on that the average person doesn't know about. And I'm just saying, throw it out there. I wasn't just saying that particular meeting. I think every meeting and any other pertinent meetings that happen on a regular basis, that again, you can't do it on the satellite postings. There's just not enough room. And that is specifically neighborhood council satellite posting about our meetings. But for the social media posts, boy, I just think, it doesn't cost us anything, and there's just a lot going on that people don't know about. So I wasn't talking about just that.
I know what you're talking about. Like, for instance, say the Ventura Cahuenga corridor specific plan.
Right, exactly.
And if there is a
That's huge
meeting
thing.
on that, then we should talk about that. And that's a city thing that directly involves anybody living along Ventura Boulevard. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's something we absolutely talk about. But if it's a smaller
If we did
organization,
a posting, like you can sign up for this, because I got that email, because I'm on that,
I
and
think
boy, could anything be more relevant than what's going to happen from Cahuenga down to the 405? for
absolutely,
us?
absolutely. The only other thing I wanted to point out was the organization should be as neutral as possible politically. Just so
Yeah.
there's no backlash against us, and we're thinking, well, you're all progressives, or you're all liberals, or you're all conservatives. There's always going to be a few people who are going to take that opportunity to whack us for it. So if the organizations like the corridor specific plan, it's a city thing. It's got nothing to do with politics. It's for Ventura Boulevard. So that would be safe. In terms of homelessness or recycling, sustainability, government affairs, maybe there's some things going on in the area, like you're saying, that could wake people up to what's going on in the city. Not necessarily politics, but in terms of regulation that might be happening.
So if we adopted
Absolutely.
a policy of posting meetings like, and again, I'm going to use the Studio City Residents Association because I've been a member for as long as it's been around, I think. It's not political if we post it, because they don't always have a political host or a guest rather. So I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, are you saying if it's a like a Department of Planning meeting, like the Cahuenga plan,
that's
okay, but if
mine,
it's
of course,
anything else,
absolutely.
Or
that? I'm sorry, Terry, go ahead.
I
What was
think it's
that?
like anything that's available to the public, right? I mean, that would be what we'd want to post.
yeah,
Right.
The SCRA is fine. We just have to be careful that there's no overt political slant to I'm just trying to get ahead of the digital communications policy. I'm trying to
but that's why you wouldn't pick particular meetings. You would just say, hey, this is the bi-monthly meeting. And I'll tell you, one of the things that about Studio Residents Association that concerns me is that I think that the membership is aging, and I don't think a lot of the younger people even know about it. I know when I talk to my neighbors, who a lot of the people who have bought these brand new 5-bedroom homes and have no children, they don't know about the Residents Association. And so I just think,
SCRA is
the moment you said the
60 years old
SCRA's
this
age,
year.
and I saw Barry's
so I
little
haven't belonged
screen go up. Right away, Barry's a little yellow square around Barry's name lit up.
Yeah, really. Okay, I'm not that old. I'm old. I'm not that old.
SCRA is 60 years old
Really,
in
Barry?
2022. Yeah.
Wow, I thought it was from the 70s. So okay, I stand.
You know
corrected.
what? That's something we could probably post. I didn't know you guys were 60 years old. Hey, Sherry, how you doing
And
there?
if Barry
I knew that was
says
you.
it, I take it to the bank. He's my go-to for the real deal.
Well, from what I understand, I think the Studio City Neighborhood Council began in 2002, right? So we'll be 20 years this year, if I'm not mistaken. It's our 20-year anniversary.
That's an anniversary.
But the SCRA is years old. That's a lot of years right there. You guys should promote that.
I think so.
We can promote that. That's not a problem to promote that, because that's general information. And then people go, oh, 60 years old, that's pretty cool. And then if it sparks an interest, then go to their website, and then they could take it from there. We're not saying join, we're saying, hey, they're 60 years old, they've been around a long time. And then they can make their decision if they want to go over there to the website and take further action. So just putting something out is fine, but as long as we're not advocating something, or we're not taking it a few extra steps, which might be perceived as
Opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Randy, did you want to say anything? I just saw your video go back up. No. Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Any other comments on agenda item 8? Nobody?
Yes, I would like to suggest that we could send in like pictures of Studio City, and
Absolutely.
yeah, like the other day.
I can contact Valley Relics Museum and see if they have old pictures of Studio City.
Just like
I saw one just today of where my mom lives. She lives out there in North Hollywood. There's a picture of Sataquai and Whitsett looking east.
yeah.
Now that's the 170, but back then in the late 50s is all strawberry fields. It was the weirdest thing. I know that intersection. I grew up in that area. I said, I know that intersection, but I don't recognize those strawberry fields in the distance. It was pretty cool. Scott, did you have something to add? I saw your hand.
I just wanted to mention the Daily News actually publishes a listing of community meetings in the San Fernando Valley, and a lot of neighborhood councils are listed in that section. So someone should contact the Daily News for at least our board meetings and get those published.
That's a good idea. Daily News listing. Okay. Terry, you had something else?
Yes, I do. Only because, I run a nonprofit, and so we use social media for promotion of a lot of things. And sometimes they're not like exactly what our topic is, but it's just to engage more eyes on it. And so I'm just going to throw out there, I have some beautiful photographs of sunsets in Studio City, whether they're taken from Sunswept or Mulholland. And so every once in a while, we might just want to send us your your most beautiful Studio City sunset or morning, or your favorite restaurant or something, just to get people to wanna, yeah, I'm sitting here having my bagel at Arts or whatever, and they take a picture and send it to us. And it just, the more you draw people in, just saying, that's how we do it in the nonprofit.
Yeah, what I'd like to do there is actually have them send it to an email address and we post them, because I don't trust people on social media to do the right thing. I really don't.
And
Okay, very wise, Brandon, very wise.
So it could be sent to any one of us and then we can post it. That's a good idea.
Yeah, you have to ask for it, and then.
little
Yeah,
videos get more attention than anything.
Yeah, videos, and
Um,
if you set a date, if you say, February 14th, show your love for Studio City, send us your pictures or videos, whether
That's a good idea.
whether they're family, favorite restaurant, whatever, and just you do that 3 times in a week, and somebody will send it in.
I like that. I like that a lot. Anybody else? I know this is really a roundtable, so I really didn't have to put public comments or committee comments because it's all one big group right now. Anybody else on agenda item 8? Kira, go ahead. Do I have to unmute?
Harry, can you get my email from Brandon and send me when those residents association meetings are? Because I am looking through the website. I don't see that anywhere. Thank
Sure
you.
can.
Yeah, I'll send it to Barry. I'll send your email address to Barry. I'll do that
It's
after.
every other month, starting in this January, every other month, the second Tuesday of the month. So
But
it
if
would
she's
have
on-
been this
but Barry, if
coming
she's on-
Tuesday.
If she's on your website, how can you direct her to find that information under calendar?
I don't. I just told you it's every other month, starting in January. So
Okay.
January, March, May, July, and it's the second Tuesday. 7 p.m. meet and greet, 7:30 meeting start. It's as
Same
simple
place.
as that. We don't need to go to any website. Think like Betty White on Facebook.
Okay, well, I can make a post and share something, and that doesn't really sound like it's available to the public if you don't post your meetings on your website, but
The
that's
meetings
fine.
are
Have to.
open to the public.
I will, Kira, I will send Barry your email address and he'll send you the information. So we'll do that.
I've just said the information. I'm not going to type it in an email.
Okay, where is
Why
it? Where's
is
the meeting? You
Okay,
didn't
no,
give me all the information. Where
Barry,
is the
Barry,
At
meeting?
Bridges Academy.
Bridges Academy. Okay.
Okay, I'll make
This
my
is
own
like-
post. Thank you.
we
Okay,
didn't know
I
that.
have to just say, this is like a 2.5 Men episode where the kids are emailing each other on their tweeting on their phones to girls 10 feet away in an ice cream parlor.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Okay, so there's that. If there's no other discussion on 8, I will close the agenda item 8. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, it was a typo on the committee agenda. It should be 9 instead of a second 8. Comments from committee members on subject matters not listed on the agenda, but fall within the committee's jurisdiction and possible future agenda items. Does any committee members have any ideas about what we can do next? Barry, you're not a committee member. Let me go with the committee members first. Anybody? Oh, silence. There's silence. Anybody else? Okay, Randy.
Hi, hello.
He's
So I
technically
just
a
wanted,
committee
yeah, I think I qualify. Anyway, so something for the outreach committee to think about, and that hopefully we'll get more and more public input. And we actually had one public comment this evening at the top of the meeting regarding a simple question about whether people are experiencing more or less of the same traffic as it relates to sportsmen. I don't think it's a throwaway, but that's okay for any stakeholder to feel that. But the hope is that that's the first of, I'd like to start having some ongoing outreach can think about what, other questions and asking stakeholders for questions and create space for comments. I think that's a great idea for anything, but start polling people about what they're experiencing in Studio City so that we can start to put information out. Number one, to the community in our e-blast list, where we're saying, hey, we asked this question, we had 10 respondents, or we had 200 respondents. This is what they're thinking. These are some of the comments. Because as anything, the neighborhood council will get, I think, and you guys can talk about it, we'll get traction if we can increase how, as Terry was saying, increase opportunities for interaction with the public so
Yeah.
that they can give their input, as well as, in theory anyway, neighborhood council, city council representatives will be more responsive, theoretically, to larger numbers. If we come with a CIS, but we also say we have polled the community and we have 100 residents, or we have 500 residents that are making this observation as well, I think that can only help and strengthen any position that we take on an issue. So hopefully we can start to get some more questions and surveys out on various subjects.
That's a good idea, and surveys. Any other committee members? I see Peter's hand up. You're not a committee member, Peter, but I'll allow you to speak. But do you have something to ask or a suggestion?
Well, it was just to Randy's point, and I think that if Randy comes up with an idea, I think he owes it to the committee to maybe run it by the committee, because maybe the committee will find some of the same issues with the question or the potential questions that I did. And as a stakeholder, that turns me off, because that says you're not sensitive to what I'm experiencing because you've limited my input to A, B, or C. So
Well, it's a lesson learned, I'm sure.
yeah.
We'll when it comes to polling, I mean, I believe our Facebook business account does allow polling. So that's something we could do on social media, in fact. I think I'll have to go back to our Facebook page and see if we can do that. I think we can.
We can, and it has a greater reach for sure.
Yeah. So we can direct people to our Facebook page, which will get people to the Facebook page to do the poll, which is it's a win-win. We get people to social media so they could take a poll, and I believe it's a little more I think the stats are a little easier to manage, and it's late for me. I don't know why. I woke up super early this morning, but it's a little easier to handle on Facebook. And I think that's where we should be directing people. Even if it's one of Randy's email blasts, directing people to social media, to our Facebook page. And I don't know, well, we could put on our website a link to our Facebook page, even though our Facebook page is on the sidebar. I can have a news post on the main page saying, go to our Facebook page, take this poll. Your opinion matters. Help us formulate an opinion about a particular subject. Because ultimately, that's what the neighborhood council is. We're just a sounding board for the public. The public tells us what to do and we do it, in theory. But getting people involved in polls, and I think Randy's correct on that, the more polls, the more engagement we have, getting people involved, where maybe if they take a few polls, they might want to start attending committee meetings or even board meetings. They might want to get involved. They might get the bug and say, hey, this is kind of cool. I have a say in this. So anything helps. It's a good idea. Anybody else? Ira?
Yes, I'm actually partial to Google polls, but I think you guys are right. The Facebook polls would speak to Peter's concern, because oftentimes I believe it's a setting, but you can people who respond to polls can usually write in their own poll point or question. I'm not sure what the terminology is. The upside to that, the pro with that, would be you have stakeholders who, let's just say, their concern isn't represented in the options. They can write in their own option, and then other people could then vote. That would be then thrown into the mix. The challenge with that is that if you get spammed, there's no way to avoid getting 1,000 different polls in there, or 1,000 different, potentially and likely inappropriate, irrelevant comments in there. So I think that'd be really cool to look into. I think it'd be, if Facebook has settings that can maybe limit the number of points that can be entered by the public, I think that would be a great opportunity.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that to see if there can be disclaimers we can place there saying if there's any comments that are not whatever, that do not meet the posting requirements of Facebook or the posting regulations Facebook sets, we should delete it. It's tough deleting comments because you're basically deleting the voice of a stakeholder, but it's something I have to look into to see if we can manage comments and regulate them somewhat. So yeah, Barry, did you have something to say?
I was just going to say, I think you have to be real careful with surveys, because if you get 25 people responding to a survey that have the issue to begin with, you're going to have 25 people feeling strongly and nobody going the other way because they don't care, because it's not their issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then to go public and say, yeah, everyone in Studio City wants this, yet only 25 people responded because they have that issue, and nobody who doesn't have the issue didn't respond. So you got to be really careful with that sort of thing, because I've just found over the years, people come to us when they have an issue that's personally affecting their neighborhood, their lives, an intersection they drive through, but the rest of the time, they don't care. They are busy with their own lives, and 95% of the people in Studio City are never going to get involved because they don't care until they have a specific issue that personally affects them. So, present company accepted, everybody participating tonight cares more than that 95%. And somebody mentioned that the SCRA had just old people. Well, if you look at both the SCNC and the SCRA, the young folks out there with families, by and large, are too busy to get involved. They just are with daily life unless and until they have a specific issue. So present company accepted, because all of us care more than just what affects us. We want to make the whole community better, but you've all got to keep this in mind.
Okay. Thank you, Barry. Any other comments? I kind of opened it up for everybody, but I thought it might be a good idea. There's a lot of smart people here tonight, so I wanted to hear everybody's comments. Then I will close agenda item 9. Agenda item 10, which was 9 on the agenda, my apologies. I really don't have any comments. I think this is a pretty good meeting. There were no motions. Next month, I'm going to have the digital communications policy as a legitimate motion that we'll discuss in depth. And I do like the idea about the surveys. I'm going to look into that and see if we can talk about that next month in detail. I hate using this word. I hate using this term because it's so bureaucratic, but it's apropos here. Best practices. I can't stand that term. It just reminds me of every bureaucrat I've had to deal with in my life. But there are best practices when it comes to that, as Barry stated. Things we can avoid, and things I can reach out to other neighborhood councils who do conduct polls on Facebook and see if they've had any missteps and how they've remedied those missteps. And Terry's hand just went up. Terry, do you want to say something really quick?
Just really quick. I was just going to say, on our next Zoom meeting, is it possible to enable a chat so that, like, I wanted to send Kira a link to the SCRA? Could we?
Generally chats are frowned upon by the Department of Neighbor Empowerment chat rooms. I believe it's disabled. I don't have admin access, but I don't even think Randy can do chats. I think it's disabled.
Not even Randy?
No, Randy, I don't think you can do chats. I think done.
So, sure. So
isn't it
and
only discouraged for board meetings?
Yes. So thanks for asking. It's a fair question. Give me 15 seconds or 30 seconds and I'll answer. So the answer is, it is strongly discouraged, frowned upon, whatever verbiage you would like to use, by done, because it creates an opportunity, whether it's in a committee meeting or in a board meeting, it allows for potentially ongoing public comment. and we had actually at one point we did have a chat feature. And for example, one stakeholder chose to run amok in public and created like literally a running commentary through the course of a meeting, making snide remarks, petty remarks. I mean, the stakeholders, I suppose, somewhat known for this, but nonetheless, it creates more of a distraction. And so at that point, I disabled it. I do have the capacity to restore it. As this is the outreach, Brandon is the outreach committee chair. If he and his committee felt that strongly, we could certainly add the feature back. It's, this is a team sport. So
I would think go ahead.
I'll leave it up to you, Brandon, and your committee. If you feel that it's really something that's necessary, you can give it a go. I leave that at your discretion.
I'm kind of against it for everything you said. And also, I don't know if it creates a potential Brown Act violation in terms of texting between board members. Committees, probably not a big deal, but obviously the board meetings, that would allow texting between board members without the public's knowledge. So I think that might be a potential violation. But in the committee meetings, I think it's pretty loose, so I don't think there would be a problem. I would much rather just email someone, just say, oh, just have me email Barry your email address and he can send the information. But Kira already has the information, Barry, don't worry about it. I would probably not like chat rooms simply because it opens up more problems than solves problems. But again, emails, I can check my emails. If you have something you want to just say, go, can I get this link? Like say you want the link to the Bureau of Neighborhood Commissioners website. Maybe you didn't get it or you lost the email. I can send it to you during the meeting. Though I'd probably say, Terry, I just sent you in an email the Bureau of Neighborhood Commissioners link, just so it's public record. But yeah, that's the only problem I would have with the chat box, is because it has a potential to be secretive communication. And again, I don't think in a committee it's going to make a difference, but I don't want to take that chance to have somebody present and then someone mentions a chat box or sees it and says, hey, wait a minute, that's a violation. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'd rather err on the side of caution. So no. that's a long-winded way of saying no, but I just wanted to explain myself on that one. Since that's all I really have to say about this, so I guess we'll get to the final item, adjournment. I motion we adjourn this meeting at 8:41. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Terry. So we will adjourn the meeting at 8:41. Thank you. The next meeting will be in February. I'll email you guys. Hey, Stuart and Sherry, how you guys doing? I'll email you guys when the next, actually it's already on the calendar. I've already listed on the calendar when our next meeting is. And yeah, I will let you guys know. Thank you.